Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend, a wonderful Christmas holiday, as we're kind of in that in-between stages of holidays, still in the month of December, but getting down to the nitty-gritty and getting down to the end of it. But we're going to have a lot of things to discuss today, dealing with Razorback football, Razorback basketball tonight for the final non-conference game against James Madison. We'll discuss that, as well as some other big news going around the college football landscape, get to best and worst of the weekend, get into your chats, which I'm sure will be fire. But fellas, it's good to see you again. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Hopefully you're staying warm after trying to stay cool over the past few days here in Arkansas.
Yeah, holy cow, man. The temperature drop yesterday over the course of like 2 hours was nuts. By the time we went to Branson to visit some family, we left at like, I don't know, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But from the time we left until the time we got back, it was literally a 50-degree drop. I've never seen anything like it. But no, the vibes are high, man, doing good. I'm so happy that Arkansas basketball is playing again. 9 days in the middle of the season. It's like an entire offseason. It's a brand new team. We don't know anything about them. I'm excited to watch them play basketball. This ain't Kirk Cignetti's James Madison walking in here tonight. So feel bad for those boys because Arkansas has got some business to attend to. But honestly, it'll just be good to see them play. I'm anxious to see how they look after the break. If some guys have a little bit more pep in their step after getting a break, and should be a good night.
Yeah, I feel bad because all during Christmas, I was complaining about the warm weather. Like, I like good weather. I like when it's 60 degrees, but not on Christmas. It needs to be cold. We need to be indoors on Christmas. Like, that's just how I want it to be. So, of course, the weather waits until right after Christmas to drop crazy. So I feel bad. I feel like I somehow caused this with my my manifestation. Curtis, that's what John always says. Whenever he reads a chat that says Curtis, he goes, Curtis. Curtis, do you remember the last time that we watched Arkansas and James Madison play against one another on a Monday?
Was that with Scotty?
It was. And it was also with Big Tuna, who made his first career start for Arkansas on the bump. It's like a Monday at noon. Arkansas played James Madison in baseball, and we get the sequel tonight. This is a playoff program in my eyes.
Love it.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me, at least, given all the circumstances. But yeah, anytime it's James Madison, it's like you think about the football side and the basketball side. I want to say that even in baseball, I could be completely wrong about this, but they played them then. And on the baseball side of things, just all the sports, and then the fact that it's like James Madison. Someone tweeted at me, they're like, "Yeah, it's one of the founding fathers," and I had to sit there and be like, "I don't know if it is, but it might be." It sounds good. I don't know. That's the thing is like, it just, I guess it depends on your definition of forefathers. Was he around at that time? Maybe, was he hanging out? Possibly. But yeah, they're going to be facing off against him tonight. And yeah, it's a weird time, which I know we'll get into some of the football news that's going on. But how do we feel about the Monday? Because it's been over a week since you played Houston. And now you got not a quick turnaround, but it is a random thing before Tennessee on Saturday with a Monday game. It just, the timing and the schedule of that, is that mean anything at all? Or do you like the fact that you have a game like this to kind of get you back and ready for Tennessee and SEC play?
I think I like that thought process behind it. And then having kind of the full week, from tonight until Saturday to, figure some things out for Tennessee. I was never crazy about the extended holiday break and then straight into SEC. Like, you haven't played for 10 days and all of a sudden you're on the road in Knoxville or whatever it was they were doing in the past there. Not crazy about that. Sometimes they would play that game kind of like Arkansas did against, Queens, like the school is out of session and the students are gone. And then you have that long break. That's crazy. I like the idea of coming back from Christmas. You got a little break and a refresh. You have some days of practice. You go implement it and try to get some guys going, work out some kinks. And then you have almost a full week of practice to get ready for a big one against Tennessee. It lines up. It works out. There's always risk with games like this because it's like the holiday hangover, or you looking ahead to a big matchup. But Arkansas has been pretty good about avoiding that kind of nonsense. And I think they also understand that even though the sting is gone from that Houston game because it was so long ago in the past now, there are definitely some things that they need to shore up and improve on before they start SEC play. So I imagine they'll be locked in tonight.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I agree with the sentiment of liking having this game before you go into SEC play. So you're not kind of going in on a weird note, especially coming off that Houston loss. I'm sure these guys want to get that taste out of their mouth. And also, I know our guys love Christmas. I'm sure they had a great time seeing their families, enjoying the holidays, yada, yada. We got a bunch of hoopers on this team that I'm sure are chomping at the bit to play basketball. They have not played a basketball game in, 9 days? I would imagine most of these guys, if you have a pulse, should be like, man, I can't wait to play basketball in front of a crowd. Like that alone should get you excited for this one. I think, guys, we always do the mental gymnastics in non-conference of like, oh, is this a trap game? And, oh, are they going to give max effort or whatever? I feel like we're kind of done with that now, right? Because, one, you shouldn't have any problem being excited because you haven't played in a while. So play some good basketball. You're coming off a loss also. Take care of business tonight. Now it's SEC play. We're ready to roll. There's no more, is this a big game? Is this a whatever? It's like, dude, we're in the time of year now. Obviously, it's not March. That's not really the time of year, but it's like it's business time. It's time to really lock in and start playing the best basketball you guys have played all year. I'm excited to see him play tonight. Cautiously, I said this the other day, cautiously optimistic about the crowd. Now, I'm more optimistic about how it's going to look for Tennessee and the rest of the big SEC games, but I think we'll have a surprisingly decent crowd tonight at Bud Walton Arena.
Certainly hoping so, because again, I know it's the weather change. It's cold. School's still out. It's just this random Monday night game. A lot of the times games on Monday nights aren't a common thing in college basketball, but I'm hopeful for the crowd. And I know that, we'll be there and we'll be checking it out and seeing how it all goes. But if you have any tickets that you're trying to get rid of, let me know, because I got a lot of Razorback fans that's been inquiring about it. But tip-off is at 7 o'clock, and we'll have Pod at the Palace post-game show following the game tonight as well, doing a recap and then getting you ready for SEC play. So we'll have more to discuss on that as well. But guys, the biggest news, I don't really care about anything else that's going on because I was just made very happy today when I saw that this happened. Arkansas got a commit, all right, for football, okay? A defensive lineman. He's a junior college. His name is Antonio Sindel Bascom. Not to me. Whatever's in that parentheses is the only thing I'm going to call him, and that is Fat Boy Woo. I mean, that to me is you already got the 2 O's, not 3 O's. Fat Boy Woo Pig Suey is probably what he's going to go by. But either way, he is from Coffeyville Community College, which, as we all know, is one that's very popular when it comes to that. But I saw that. I saw that, of course, with the portal about to open up and you'll start having real commits of other schools too, as far as JUCO goes. I guess this is all right. But hey, they added one into this, and it's a D lineman, and he had, I think, offers to places like Baylor and Kansas and places like that. But he's a 6'3", 305, and is going to have 2 years of eligibility remaining.
Great. Awesome. I mean, you need adults on the defensive line. You need grown men. He counts. He's one of those. I mean, they got a lot of work to do up front there, and glad to see him on board. Sometimes those JUCO things work out better than you expect. Sometimes they're just depth. Either way, Arkansas needs both. So I'm all on board with this, and any work that you can do before this portal opens up, I'm fine with it, because like we've talked about, I mean, they've got what, 2/3 of a roster or something that they have to fill here between now and the time they start classes in January. So I'm all for it, man. It's cool. I love his excitement, man. Like he's retweeting and he's commenting and responding to all Razorback fans and media who are about it. He's excited to be here, and hell, at this point, I'll take that too. So good for him. Happy that he's here, and anxious to see what he's all about.
Also, I'm fairly sure he got offered on Sunday and then committed today. So it wasn't like they had to have this long song and dance of, do you want to be a hog? And, oh, you want to, it's like he was pretty on board right away. Love that. And so, during portal season, we're going to talk a lot about resources and, dropping bags and all that. This doesn't seem like that. This was a guy that was committed to Memphis already knew the coaching staff, and then committed right away to Arkansas when he got the opportunity. Love that. And also, like you said, you need the depth. You can never not have you can never have enough depth on the defensive line. I mean, last year Arkansas only had 3 or 4 guys that they truly like to play at defensive tackle and that really appeared in games. And we talked about it a lot of like, if any of these guys could just step up and give Arkansas 8 to 10 snaps, that would drastically change the entire feel of the room. If this guy can do that at all, we would be, I mean, if we get anything out of him, that's a win for me. And so I'm excited to see what he can do. Excited to see what he looks like after an off season of being in an SEC strength and conditioning program. You mentioned Coffeyville. Like, that's a pretty solid JUCO, playing that Jayhawk conference, I believe is what it's called. Independence. I believe Hutchinson's in there. Like, not all JUCOs are created equal, and there's still a big gap when you're going to the SEC. But I'm optimistic about this one. And honestly, like I said, if he gives you 100 snaps throughout the entire year, that's a huge win.
Yeah, I mean, it's no Independence or whatever it was called, for the last chance U type junior colleges, but still adding into the mix. And this is just going to be one of many that's going to be added into the mix. And we have some more subtractions actually for Razorback football that we'll talk about here in just a second. But I want to remind everybody, Blue Ember Smokehouse is one of our great sponsors here at Inside Arkansas. They do a great job when it comes to having the specialized handcrafted barbecue just for you. And they are growing. They are growing rapidly, just like us here at Inside Arkansas. So we love the fact that we get to do a show live from their Rogers location the first Wednesday of every month. Somebody got confused when they tweeted at me the other day saying like, hey, I'm going to be in town this Wednesday. If we'll come by Blue Ember. We'll go by Blue Ember, but we're not going to be there for the live show. That's the next Wednesday. So a week from this Wednesday, we'll be there live. But it's always fun to go out there and to have some of the great food that they have so many different options to choose from, so many different types of barbecue that you can get with their sides. And they even got the ice cream cone that literally is like the Eiffel Tower. It's incredible for your dessert that you can check out there too. But it's an awesome spot. And if you've not yet to go there, be sure to check them out. And also they do caterings, they do meetings. They have a private room that you can rent out for any sort of business or anything that you need to do. So it's an awesome spot. So be sure to check it out. They have 6 different locations here in the state of Arkansas, whether it's Fort Smith, Jonesboro, Texarkana, Little Rock, Hot Springs, or Rogers. They can cater all year round for all your special events. And their phone numbers are right there. You can contact them as well. So do it with Blue Ember Smokehouse. And thank you for supporting your local Blue Ember Smokehouse.
I've made a decision on the Blue Ember front real quick.
Yeah.
If Arkansas beats James Madison like they're supposed to. Okay, let's do this. If Arkansas beats James Madison by 30 plus, and then they beat Tennessee on Saturday, I'll eat the ice cream cone when we go to Blue Ember on the stream.
I like that a lot.
I'll do it.
Deal.
Done.
Okay.
Wow. What a world Curtis is creating for himself. Arkansas is going to win 2 basketball games, and he's going to eat ice cream.
I saw somebody on Twitter. They pulled up the old receipts from like the beginning of the football season. It was a Virginia fan. He was like, hey, Virginia wins 7 games in a bowl this year. I'll butt chug a Muggs root beer on like on camera or whatever. Nothing like that. I'll just eat the ice cream cone. There we go.
Yeah, and that's a safe bet. It's a safe bet. But as long as you do it on live on stream, yeah, it'll be awesome. But I was going to say that Blue Ember needs to sign old Fat Boy Woo and call him Fat Boy Woo Blue Ember. Like something there. There's a lot of different options there. But still, yeah, we love Blue Ember. Can't wait to be there next Wednesday. But the other news, guys, it's not anything just like, oh my gosh, but it is significant in the way of the quarterback room. Trevor Jackson, who we know transferred from Florida State over to Arkansas last year last spring, I should say, after the whole Madden situation, him leaving for UCLA and that chaos. And he transferred in, former 4-star coming out of high school. Didn't see really any playing time, wasn't really part of it, but he has officially entered into the transfer portal, according to reports. Now, he had a chance? I don't think any of us felt he had a chance at being the starting quarterback for Arkansas, but you got to have depth. And we know that KJ Jackson's coming back, but that's really Grayson Wilson. Okay, we got to remember him, Grayson Wilson, of course. But I think that this is also just a direct acknowledgement of like, hey, we knew that they would probably get somebody out of the portal at quarterback. Now they 100% for sure are getting somebody out of the portal at quarterback. It's just a matter of, are they getting KJ Jackson's backup, or are they going to get someone to compete with KJ Jackson, or are they just getting somebody who's just going to walk right in and be QB1 and that's it?
Yeah, I feel like this means they're going to get multiples. I was 100% convinced no matter what that they were going to add a transfer portal QB. Now they have to. I mean, you got to have more than that on the roster just for practice and keeping yourself covered. So, yeah, I'm going to be interested to see what it looks like. I imagine that there's going to be – I think that they'll add 2. I think one might be in the Cade Fortin elk, kind of like Andrew, you mentioned the other day. Somebody like that who's probably just, hey, I'm happy to be on an SEC roster. I've been there, done that, and I can accept a role and be ready if I'm needed, like the break glass in case of emergency guy. And then they might bring in somebody who's going to be a little bit more on the competition side for KJ. But they've got to do it. You got to have some bodies in there. Maybe it'll be, Silverfield's boy from Memphis. I don't know. Maybe there's another quarterback out there that he likes. But it's going to be very interesting to see how that room shapes up because you're down on numbers. You're down on experience. you're excited about the potential of KJ Jackson, but you don't know for sure. So they've got other areas where you got to do a lot more heavy lifting, but this is an important one for them to figure out and make sure they got the appropriate depth in that room.
Yeah, quarterback's one of those just weird positions where every single move you make you start comparing to everything and everyone in the room. It feels like it affects the entire program top to bottom. Now, Trevor Jackson obviously isn't that kind of guy who had been, playing a huge role or anything like that, but his exit I do think is telling. And yeah, 100% like what Arkansas needs in their quarterback room, honestly, doesn't really change much because it's Trevor Jackson wasn't filling either of those voids. He wasn't competing with KJ Jackson for the spot, and he didn't really have experience. And so what Arkansas already needed, they still need, and you're going to have to just get a body, which, by the way, bodies should be easy to come by. There should be some random grad transfer from a D2 school that will come be your fourth-team quarterback, hoping it can be his way into coaching or whatever, which is what Cade Fortin was, by the way. You can always find guys like that, but yeah, I do think Arkansas is going to take not a big swing. I'm not expecting Arkansas to get in the mix of, hey, we're going to throw $4 million at the Brennan Sorsby kid or whatever, who, by the way, kind of sucks. And whoever pays him $4 million, fire your GM, honestly. And if you pay Sam Levitt $5 million, fire your GM as well. I don't think they're going to get in that mix for one of those Lagway, Levitt type of guys. But I do think they are probably going to go after some guy who has started games at the FBS level. And, is it going to be someone that's going to definitively beat out KJ? Is it going to be someone that when he commits, we will know, oh, yeah, this is the starter and KJ is now the backup? I don't necessarily think that, but I do think you're going to have to get a guy who we always say legit competition. And I think we undersell how often it's not a real competition. But the more this plays out, and we'll see what Arkansas ends up doing and what additions they make, I do kind of think they're going to have to go out there and get someone who is a legitimate, we don't know who's going to start at quarterback between him and KJ Jackson, which I know, John, you've talked about it, can also be a little bit concerning as a fan where you're I kind of want to just know the guy. But I know there's also a lot of fans who are dying for a real competition. I think you might get one, frankly.
Yeah, well, I know that I put this in our Inside Arkansas Discord, but, one of the names to watch, the transfer portal, is Caton Hauser, who's the East Carolina quarterback who recently entered into the transfer portal, completed 66% of his passes for 3,300 yards this past year, 19 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, was sacked 4 times, but also rushed for about 200 yards. But he was a 2-year starter at East Carolina and, again, entered into the portal December 15th. So could be somebody like that that ends up coming in. And, again, it's a matter of, I want you guys' thoughts on this. I talked about it on my Locked On this morning, but given the circumstances of, when the portal opens up, I'm actually going to be really concerned if Arkansas, and I'm not saying within the first 10 minutes, but within the first day or two has not already signed 20 players. You know what I'm saying? It needs to be I want to know, because that will tell me that they have been behind the scenes working at this and not one of these things of, if you're 2 or 3 days into it and Arkansas's only got 5 commits, I'm concerned. I'm okay, you're getting worked over, you're getting screwed over. You're not paying, you're not whatever. But it would just do me so much good vibes and good feeling if the second that thing opens up first day, you got a Carius Kern, you got a Caton Hauser, you got all these really, really solid players and quite a bit of them. Because that would just, I don't know, lead to me feeling like they do their due diligence. Is that fair to say, if that they need to have not saying it just can be bodies, have quality, but having a good amount of people commit from the jump?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think if you're going to get Kern, you're just going to get him. So get that done early. And then whoever's coming over from Memphis, those dudes should be, I would think pretty immediate. If you're going to follow Silverfield over here or not, if that option is available to you and you're going to do it, you already know if you're coming over or not. So those types of things should be done pretty quick. And then, maybe a couple others outside of that. But I'm with you. It's tough because I remember the mental adjustment I had to make from Muss to Cal, just in how they operate in the portal. But Silverfield doesn't have the luxury of doing things. I don't know what his approach is. I know he got a bunch of new players last year, but he has to operate quickly with this full rebuild that he has to do here. You can have a little bit of patience, but all this is going to be done in 2 or 3 weeks, just with the nature of the calendar. So he does have to move quickly. I'm going to be interested to see how many guys he gets from a volume standpoint early, but I'm with you, John. I don't know if it needs to be like a crazy number there, but I'm expecting him to get, a couple dozen over 30 at least. I don't know what the exact numbers look like, but you got a lot of spots you have to fill, a lot of starters you have to get. If they get a good handful of guys who are going to come in here and be dudes and who are going to be on the 2 deep, I'm fine with that, especially when you have half his damn team at Memphis that's in the portal. A handful of them are coming. Get that done early.
Yeah, I know it may seem unfair to say, wait, you guys expect them to have the entire roster figured out in 2 weeks? Well, that's the way this whole thing is designed.
Yes.
That's like you don't really have any other choice. There's no spring window. The portal's only open for 2 weeks, so you kind of do have to have it figured out. And like you said, is it 20 guys in 2 days, whatever? I don't know, but you touched on something very important, and we're breaking the fourth wall here a little bit. NCAA, if you're listening, turn us off real quick. Having a plan already, and then once the portal opens, already being able to execute that plan is what you have to do here. If you're waiting for that portal to open and then you're going to start getting your board together and then you're going to start reaching out to guys, you're going to get eaten alive. And that is quite literally what happened to Arkansas last year. They waited and said, oh, we'll get a GM in April. Oh, we've got that spring portal window to bank on, which obviously they literally don't have this year. I trust what you're saying, John, that this coaching staff, whether they're going to build a great roster or not, they've already made some of these decisions. They just can't go public with them. Some of these players who are going to play football for Arkansas in 2026 have already made the decision to play football for Arkansas in 2026. We will just find out about it once we are officially able to find out about it. And so, yeah, it's not like one of those things where, hey, we better know by day one every single starter at every single spot. But yeah, after 48 hours, we will have a substantially more definitive idea of what this roster is going to look like. You also touched on the Hauser kid, which, by the way, that's the perfect level of quarterback, honestly, that I think is the perfect kind of addition. And I'm sure that's not going to excite fans. I'm sure they're going to look at his Wikipedia page and say he sucks and they're not interested. I think that's more or less exactly what this situation is going to look like.
I think so many, if you got to just look at it, how many quarterbacks and quality quarterbacks at quality schools this past year or over the past couple of years have come from a place like East Carolina and had numbers similar to him that ended up being really good. Like sometimes it does pan out, and that's where the trust is just like, I'm giving the benefit of the doubt to the offensive staff, to Silverfield, be like, all right, hey, listen, you got a fresh slate here. So if this is if you get Caton Hauser, it's like, okay, that's who you want. Good. Let's see it. Like, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. But I just, it's not that we've should have or needed to hear much from the coaching staff over the past few weeks, because there's not really anything going on other than just players announcing that they're returning or some players doing it. But that's what would be really important for me, because I would say, hey, I knew if they have a bunch of players that come in the beginning, I'm like, all right, I know what you guys have been doing. I know what you guys have been doing behind the scenes, because I don't want to even have the thought, which I know some fans may, but I don't even want to have the thought to be like day 2, day 3 of the portal, be like, all right, so what have you guys been doing? What have you guys been doing right now? Are you guys just been chilling? You guys just been, you've been moving into your new homes, and you just got busy. Have you been unpacking? What is it? Because that's what's going to be a little bit concerning. But all the connections, whether you mentioned the Memphis players, Curtis, I know that there's some Florida players, that have entered into the portal, played in the secondary, which of course we know that connection with the defensive staff. It's not to say that those players are for sure coming, or those players would even have the interest of the coaching staff. Those are just the ones where it's like, hey, if that is something that makes sense, then it should just be an easy addition. It just should be an easy thing that just happens on the first day of the portal opening up.
Yeah, and if I'm the staff, I'm like, I don't really have to sell you on anything other than, do you like Fayetteville or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, we know you, we have the relationship. You played for me, whether it's the, the Florida guys for Roberts, or it's the, Silverfield's guys at Memphis or whatever. I would, given the nature of this, and the track record there that you have with these guys and their families or the representations or whatever, I'd put a pretty clear, I don't like using the term deadline or whatever, but it's like, hey, we need to know ASAP here what you're doing, or we have to move on. Okay. We're not building a relationship with you. It's already there. So you're either in or you're not. And then we're either happy to have you and we can move on to the next part of our plan, or we can move on from you to whoever's next on our list. I would be moving pretty quick on that front. Like, I would be pretty surprised if, we get to, when does the portal close, the 16th or whatever, and then all of a sudden you're starting to get guys from Memphis who are committing then, or the dude from Florida who's committing then. I feel like that ship might sell pretty quick because they don't have time to just sit around and wait on these dudes.
100%. And you're right in that, like, what you know affects what you're going to do. You know, if you have 2 spots in the secondary to fill, well, that's going to change the way you view the situation. If you have 4 spots, completely different way you're operating. And so, yeah, you don't really have time to just, well, let's just see. And we might have this guy, we might have that guy, we might have this one. So I know it sounds like we're putting a ton of pressure on the coaching staff of like, you guys better have answers real quick. But it's really not us. It's just the structure of this whole thing. And frankly, it's just the job that Brian Silverfield and his staff inherited. You knew you were going to have to flip most of the roster, and you have experience doing this. Don't forget, Ryan Silverfield led the entire country last year in portal players. It's over 70 guys from the portal. Will it end up being a number that high this year? I don't know. You know, we'll see what it all shakes out looking like, but it's like, he's played this game before. He understands the circumstances. He's a big boy. He can handle it. He hired a coaching staff of 950 guys, a whole army, a whole battalion, you know, like a whole group. They're ready to do this thing, and I trust that they have been working on this, and it's exciting. It really is. And so it's like crazy that this time next week we could be having so many different conversations about the roster, because it could look completely different in just 7 days.
Yep, it could absolutely happen. And we'll continue the discussion here on Inside Arkansas Live. I want to remind everybody that Drain Masters of Arkansas has you covered for any sort of plumbing or drain cleaning needs you may have, whether it's your home or business. They're able to serve the entire state of Arkansas as well as Oklahoma and beyond. They're the best in the business. We love having Jacob and the people over there from Drain Masters a part of us here, because since we try to be the best, and I know they strive to be the best, and the reason they do that is because they're professional and they have a reliable service, just like us here at Inside Arkansas. So it's a match made in heaven. And we know a lot of you may run into these issues, and it's frustrating, and it's not something that you want to deal with. So have the masters, the Drain Masters of Arkansas, take care of you. You can give them a call today to request a service at 479-646-5585. That's 479-646-5585. Or you can scan that QR code on your screen. It'll take you right to their website. But whatever you do, be sure to mention that Inside Arkansas sent you, because when you say that, you get 10% off all your services. That's right, 10% off each and every one of your services. Doesn't matter how big or small. They're going to do that for you as long as you say that, hey, the fellows of Inside Arkansas sent us over there. So no matter if it's anything and everything plumbing related, no job is too big or too small. Drain Masters of Arkansas has you covered. And guys, I don't know about you, but I feel like the latest Razorback is see, I couldn't even get through it all because I knew I was just going to piss somebody off. But either way, the latest Razorback, I think, is going to be Cam Coleman, who Auburn's wide receiver that entered into the transfer portal. It's almost like nothing will shock me anymore as far as players entering portals and whatnot. But goodness gracious, that was a pretty big shock. I know our guy Quinn had some thoughts on it, but what you guys make of this, where it seemed like most people over there at Auburn thought that Cam Coleman was staying, but not so much. He is the number one player, as we can all imagine, in the portal right now.
Yeah, he's very, very good. I thought he might be excited to stick around if he was going to have an actual quarterback to throw him the ball, and maybe an actual offensive mind that could scheme up ways for him to get it, because he's so talented and he probably hasn't been used appropriately over there. But the whole team's dipping. And I know there's going to be a lot of turnover, and some of it's going to be business decisions from a staff. Some of it's going to be other guys who are checking out their options. They might wind up coming back. I don't know if Golish prefers the Sam Pittman model of entering the portal the right way and then you can come back or not. But that's a lot going on over there. We thought, hell, it was reported that Alex Golish was going to be Arkansas's coach there for a day or so, and I don't know if it's way too early for hindsight or whatever, but that is interesting. I know there's been some reporting out there, and Quinn will say that it's Bamaganda or whatever, who people were saying that Golish is like losing it over there already, and this is a train wreck and everything. I don't know about that, but it is notable when like most of your team is entering the portal at this point, and that's one that you just have to keep. This, to me, this would be like, well, Arkansas doesn't have an equivalent in the wide receiver, but like if Quincy Rhodes or something entered the portal, as soon as Silverfield got here, we'd be like, oh gosh, like I thought you might go pro, but the portal, what are we doing here? That's a tough one to square when you're coming over and trying to get that thing turned around. Sucks to suck, nerds.
Yeah. One thing I'll say is you're going to hear a lot of numbers floated out with Cam Coleman. I've already seen like 7 different numbers of like, oh yeah, he's asking for $5 million. He's going to get $3 million. He's going to get $4 million. I don't know if any of them are right or not, just don't do the numbers conversation. If we're having this conversation, don't start throwing numbers at me because they're all fake and they are. But I will say Cam Coleman, the number one player, according to On3 now in the portal, the single number one. And there's a lot of notable guys in the portal. He is now the new number one guy. So he will get a lot of money. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like it's that conversation bores me when people start doing is he leaving because he wants 2.75 or it's like, come on, let's relax here. But no, to your point, Curtis, like, as a fan, you always have two decisions. Whenever a player leaves your program, you get to choose. Did he leave because our coach is an idiot and he hates us, or did we process him? I'm sure Auburn fans are going to say, well, he didn't fit the culture and Golish wanted a different receiver and yada, yada, yada. But I feel like they retained DJ Durkin hoping to keep a lot of those players. And by the way, a lot of defensive players have entered the portal. Defensive starters for Auburn have entered the portal. And so that's interesting to me. It could be as simple as, hey, there's just not a personality, match here, and Golish wants to go a different direction. And, I've been very high on Golish. I thought he did an awesome job at South Florida. I would have gladly welcomed him as the Razorback coach. So I am sure he has a plan and a vision, but it is very interesting that very many people in Auburn that were on the roster just don't want to be a part of that, or that he doesn't want them to be a part of it, whichever one you want to choose. Regardless, it's just interesting to me.
Well, I want to bring this up real quick for you guys. Again, I think timing is always very fascinating. I think that if all these players from Auburn, for instance, had left from the jump, like from very quickly, I could have almost like chalked it up to being like, well, all right, Golish is just coming in, he's cleaning house. He's like, no, if you're either in or you're out, and if you're out, get out. Like just doing it that way. But when it's a slow burn, it's kind of like, I think that's what makes it look worse, is because they're like, you make it feel like, hey, we're trying to get these guys, trying to negotiate, trying to do it. And then, it's not to say that the portal's not officially open, but we know that people have been entering into the portal for weeks now. And it's like, just now, like what happened? Because again, looked like from all reports, and I talked to our friend Taylor Korn, who covers Auburn. It was like everybody in Auburn felt like, hey, he's coming back, no problem. So did somebody get to him? Somebody tamper, do some of that illegal stuff? Maybe, but I don't know. I just felt like if they would have had this exodus from the jump, it's a lot easier to maybe say, hey, this could be a positive because you're getting rid of some of the guys. But now it makes it look like you're just whiffing and you can't negotiate and you can't convince these guys to stay home.
Yeah, that's a hard one to replace too. Who's the other receiver that's portaling over there that Arkansas is connected with?
Completely forgot his name.
Yes, dude.
I can't believe I forgot it. It's disrespectful because he's a good player, but
it's like Arkansas and Kentucky are after him, right?
Yeah, which is interesting.
And he's another one that as soon as he entered the portal, it became a thing of like, oh, he's going to get $4 million. Oh, he's leaving for this many or whatever. And I don't know. Auburn did spend a lot of money on their transfer class last year. And so that maybe affects it because you had to pay a lot of money to get these guys last year. They're not just going to stay for free. And so I don't know. Who knows what it looks like over there?
Dude, that's going to drive me up a wall. I got to go back and find that. Malcolm Simmons.
Yep. Thank you, chat, for that.
Yeah.
The wide receiver thing at Auburn is what's blowing me away here, because like if you had to sit around and have Peyton Thorne throw you the football and you stayed, and then have Jackson Arnold attempt to throw you the football and you stuck around for that, and then you were probably going to get the best quarterback you've had. Because like I would assume the USF kid is going to come over there. Mm-hmm. Why would you leave now? I don't know, man. That's crazy to me. I can't comprehend that in my mind. But
by the way,
it's going to be a good prize for somebody. Like I would be fine if Arkansas got the Simmons kid. They're not getting Cam Coleman. I don't know who is, but that's interesting stuff, man.
What if they did?
If Arkansas got Cam Coleman, I think that would be a wow, go live immediately type of portal edition, no doubt about it. Like even if it was 10 p.m. on a Friday night, we would go live right there, guys. I was looking at On3 portal rankings, and these are just the player rankings. There's gonna be more players enter and all that, but I was just looking at some of these rankings. That Byron Brown kid, the quarterback from South Florida that you mentioned, I believe he was like number 4 in the portal, like one of those top big additions. Ian Gerfrard. Would y'all like to take a guess at where he is ranked in the portal?
I wouldn't even know. Like not top 100.
He is top 100.
If you're asking this question, he's high.
He is the what used to be the coolest number in the 60s, 69. No longer, because 6'7" has replaced it. He is the number 4 defensive lineman in the portal. And I know everyone's hearing me say that and they're saying, oh, that's BS and On3 sucks and blah, blah, blah. That just tells you how hard it is to get a really good defensive lineman in the portal. Whoever gets Ian Gerard, whether it's Arkansas or someone else, they're going to be like, wow, we got a top 5 defensive lineman in the portal. And it'll change. I'm sure he'll drop down when more guys enter. But that's interesting to me.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I wouldn't even have guessed that, but that's why it's just going to be ever changing, man. Cause here in a couple, next couple of days, he could go from being 69th to being 112th, just overnight, just depending on it. But, to your point though, it's like, you're right. It's tough. And I think Arkansas, I'm not saying they've hit on every one of them, but, they've had some pretty solid at times defensive line transfer come in, like, whether it's the Landon Jacks, which, is pre-portal technically, but still he's a transfer. It's like, they've come in, but that's what's just so crazy about this Razorback team is they need everything. They need help everywhere. So it's not just like, oh, well, I know we're good here. It's like, oh, well, no, if I heard that we got us another running back, I don't care because we're good. No, you need everything. So this is something that you're going to just have to get. Would you say Cam Coleman is like the transfer portal equivalent to Nelly Davis? Because when Nelly Davis, like the number one transfer portal guy.
Yeah, except, I guess with Nelly, even he was at FAU, and he was really, really good there. And he went to a Final Four. So like there are reasons, but I mean, this is one of the best receivers in the SEC.
Yeah. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, because
I almost said Jonas, but I couldn't get it out of my mouth.
Gosh, stop. But wasn't he the guy that made that insane catch against Arkansas in Fayetteville? Wasn't that him? That was like on SportsCenter #1 for
Probably.
Coleman. Okay. Because I think it was the one that was in.
Sure. Yeah.
Because it was the only.
He made a lot of really good catches against a lot of teams.
Right. But that was like the only offensive touchdown Auburn scored that game. So that's why it stood out, because I thought it was like something crazy. But either way, yeah. I mean, Arkansas is not getting him. But if he decided, then it'd be pretty cool. It'd be a pretty cool thing if he did.
Well, the difference between him and Nelly Davis is that Nelly Davis had won at a high level and continued to win at a high level.
It's true, too.
Yes, it's true.
True too.
And Cam Coleman, his best thing is he almost beat Alabama. That's about all that you got going on for you right now. So we'll continue our discussions and everything here on the show. We'll also get to your chats. But again, a lot of things to cover here on the show. But want to bring up a Alumni Hall question of the day presented by Alumni Hall. It's the ultimate Razorback shopping experience. We love our friends over at Alumni Hall, and we're going to be live there this month. We'll give you a date on that because we're there live every month on a Friday before a Razorback basketball game, because it's so awesome to see all the great apparel that they have to choose from, whether it's dealing with the Razorback polo shirts or the jerseys or the hats or the warm wear. No matter what it is, they have it. And the best thing about it is that you can shop them online and have it delivered straight to your door at InsideArkansas.com/Alumni Hall. It's InsideArkansas.com/Alumni Hall. You can also check them out in store, 3417 North College Avenue, and use that code HOGSBY20 for 20% off your purchase. So with our friends at Alumni Hall, it's the ultimate Razorback shopping experience. So, guys, I have kind of like two. One of them I posted, the other one I didn't. So I'm going to do the one I didn't post. But I was thinking about with Razorback basketball tonight, with you got Tennessee coming to town. Obviously, SEC play is going to get tough. Is this like the game that would you rather? I'm trying to think of how to word this, but basically with Malik Thomas, knowing that he's somebody you want to get going, is it something to where if he doesn't get going tonight, suddenly it starts to really be like, oh, okay, what's going on here? I know it's a little bit concerning, or is it, I'm just trying to figure out how to handle this, because what he's capable of and we've seen what he's capable of, but man, just be really feeling really good to, once you start SEC play, to kind of have him in a good spot, going into that.
I think it's very important that he gets it going. I mean, it's critically important. It's been a couple weeks now. He was in a funk, and you've had this break. Like if you needed a reset or refocus or whatever, this is your only time to do it and get yourself going. He's a super talented player, and he didn't just suddenly become bad at basketball to where he's not going to make an impact on this team. He's a confidence-driven guy, though, and this is the first time probably that part of his game or his personality has ever been shaken a little bit. I guess sure wasn't at overtime elite or whatever, and then he came in and hit the ground running here at Arkansas, faced a little bit of adversity, get into a funk. All of a sudden, you're on this marquee game against Houston. You're only playing 15 minutes because you can't get anything going. I'm sure that's impacted him a little bit. So he probably needed this to kind of get his mind right a little bit. We know how big of a competitor he is. Guys go through slumps every single year. Darius Acuff is going to hit a slump at some point. Hopefully it's not a 2-week one like this, but that's just part of it. He's going to be okay. And what I hope to see tonight is just make some threes, man. That's the biggest thing for me. He's got to be able to knock down some of those shots. He's going to be able to get looks against this James Madison team. They're pitiful defensively. You just got to step up and make them. Like, he was given his opportunity to shoot himself out of it against Queens, and he shot himself into even deeper of a slump because he was thinking about it too much. I just want to see him go out there and play free. And it's felt like to me, and he hit a run there where he was, I guess, consistently okay. But ever since Cal started doing the thing where you could tell he was really trying to rein him in on the shot selection and everything like that. I'm not trying to blame Cal for it, because Malik Thomas doesn't need to be taking 19 shots a game and forcing half of them. I get that. But you don't want it to start impacting him up here. He plays with confidence and freedom and zero conscious out there. Well, now he's got too much of all those things. So I want him to go out there and play with freedom. And I think if he does that, he'll have some success. But yeah, if he goes out there and he goes 1 of 10 or whatever again tonight, that's something I'm going to be really worried about going into SEC play, because after he stunk it up against Queens, we were like, oh, well, he needs a bounce back game. Good luck getting that against Houston. It's the exact same conversation against Tennessee. Not a spot that you want to be in.
Yeah, John, I definitely see the case of like do you want to save your bullets? Would you rather have the bullets come out or whatever? But I definitely very much subscribe to the theory of getting a guy like Malik Thomas to feel like a star again, get that feeling of seeing the ball go through the net, have him go into that Tennessee game rejuvenated and get that pep in his step. And forgive me if this is just a stupid point to make here, because it's 2 straight home games. It's not like a huge homestand, but I always think like when Arkansas baseball does the way they do their schedule, they have their little Arlington trip or whatever, and then they go on like a 20-game homestand. And I always view that time of year as like the time where you're just waking up every day, you're going to bomb. You're waking up every day, you're going to bomb. You kind of get into that flow. And I know Monday to Saturday is not 20 games, but you play 2 games at home this week. I think we have to leave this 2-game home stretch with a rejuvenated Malik Thomas before you go and play 2 conference road games. Your first time going on the road in the SEC. I do not want us to be going on the road next week to, is it Ole Miss that they play in a couple of weeks? I do not want to be going to that game and being like, is this going to be when Malik Thomas breaks out? Is he going to get back? Like, I want us to already have done it. I want him to play well tonight. I want him to feel confident going into that Tennessee game, and I want to see him outplay Nate Ament. I want to see him show up and be a star. He's very capable of doing it. Like, we know, we don't even have to have the conversation of, can Malik Thomas be an impact player for Arkansas? We already know. And so, yeah, it's all about when it's a guy this talented and who you kind of know has the right makeup and the right skill set. It's not a matter of like what he can and can't do. It's just, can you do the things we already know you can do, and can you do them consistently? That has to start here. It's time to grow up.
Well, and also I was looking at some of the Bet Saracen prop play. So if you're thinking that tonight is going to be the night for Malik Thomas, one of the prop bets, or at least the ones with the greatest odds for Malik Thomas, is if you think he's going to have over 14.5 points and over 3.5 rebounds, it's at plus 230.
Yeah.
So
if you think Malik Thomas can hit his averages against a bad James Madison defense, then
yep,
get it at plus 200.
Yep.
That's where we're at with this slump.
Yep. And then if you want to take it another step further, they have a player prop that either Darius Acuff or Malik Thomas score 30, either one of them, plus 650. So, if you think it's just like he's going out,
I might make that bet every single day. Just like any given day, it's like, yeah, one of these guys could go for 30.
Yeah. Because it's just like some of them are funny, like Trevin Brazil to get 3 blocks or 3 steals. Not saying he'll for sure get it, but it's plus 1,300. So, it's like maybe they'll find a way to do it. But my favorite one, Curtis, you talked about the defense and how bad James Madison is at it. Arkansas to score 80 plus points, you can get in at minus 2,000.
I mean, okay, that's crazy.
Like, imagine putting money down on that. Like, just be like, no, I'm not sure about that. But yeah, 80 points is just plus or minus 2,000.
Man, they it's different than Queens. The thing about James Madison, they play at a pretty slow, I think they're like 303rd or something in tempo. So it doesn't show up in like points per game allowed and everything like that. But if you go watch them, and because you can get like the extended highlights, on YouTube, it's like 14 minutes of the game or something. I've never seen a team just like turn their back to the basketball, give up wide open basket cuts. Just like they have some really, really bad habits on the defensive end of the floor. And maybe they cleaned it up during this break, but I would be very disappointed if Arkansas doesn't score a ton of points tonight.
It's weird, and James Madison is also a prime example of why rim protection can be overrated at times, because they're like top 40 in the country in blocks, but they are horrible defensively. And it's like, and you're kind of like, oh, how could that be happening? Aren't you blocking all these shots? It's like, yeah, but if you block 8 shots in a game, that's awesome. And it's like, that's 8 of however many possessions. And so it's like, they're kind of a prime example. I'm interested to see if Arkansas defends the 3-point line well today, because that's kind of the only thing. James Madison doesn't shoot it super well, but they shoot it a lot. And so that like low tempo plus you're going to shoot 27 threes or whatever. It's just one of those teams. It's like their only path to victory is a high variance. You just get hot from 3. And you'd imagine Arkansas has to know that, right? Like the only way that this game is competitive is if they hit 14 threes. That's pretty much it. And their guards aren't even like, they're fine. They're going to shoot them, though. Like they have that one kid, I forget his name, that shoots like 9 a game or something like that.
Dude's got 99 attempts in 12 games or something.
Lord.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, whatever it is, I just feel like they're going to hit like 13 threes, because that's just what happens to Arkansas. Like it's just every time. Arkansas
is such a weird anomaly from that standpoint this season, because they're holding teams to 30% from 3. And it's very good. But they're on pace to give up more threes per game than they have in the history of the program. So not a high percentage, but teams are just hoisting them. And it's crazy. And then some of it's like you had the 4 for 41 with UCA. Yes. And when you played Queens, they were 6 of 26 or whatever it was. And then you mix that in with 15 of 30 for Winthrop. It's been very like boom or bust this season. It needs to be bust tonight, man. Between that and I mentioned this today. I've been encouraged with Arkansas against the last 3 big games. So Louisville and Texas Tech and Houston, they've won on the glass. They've won on the offensive glass. It's like, okay, they can rebound with the big, like that's not something we need to go into SEC play and be like, they're screwed. Are they going to be great? No, they'll probably be middle of the pack. But I'm sick of looking up at the end of these bye games and seeing Arkansas losing the rebound battle to Queens, or losing the rebound battle to Fresno State or something. Go out there and kick somebody's ass on the glass for a change, please. Can we just do that just to prove that you can? It drives me nuts, man.
Yeah, it's frustrating. And it's so funny because I feel like, this is not me trying to be insulting, but it's like, considering how Pringle's played, and, Malik Ewan's not known for his defensive prowess and stuff. It's like, why wouldn't people try to drive in more? And it's not like Arkansas has this shut down Stephen Hill shot blocker down there. It's just like, oh, we better not go inside on those guys. So I just surprised more people haven't tried it. Maybe somebody does, and maybe it ends up paying. But I just think that's funny, where it's one of those numbers that doesn't add up. It's like like when Arkansas led the SEC in sacks, but yet they had the worst defense ever. It's like, what? Yeah. It's the same thing. It's like, they are actually they're doing a really good job, and as far as percentages go, it's really good. But they're on pace to have so many taken and made against them. It's crazy.
Kind of makes you think. This James Madison team, it's like all of the things you could maybe threaten Arkansas with, they just don't really have the things to threaten them with.
Yeah.
It's like Arkansas's weaknesses won't be exploited in this game, aside from, like you said, the 3-point variance, where Arkansas will either hold you to 2 of 40 or you'll hit 15 threes. That's like the really only thing. But everyone keeps referencing James Madison making the tournament a couple years ago, which is relevant. I mean, it shows you this is a program that's won and stuff, but it's like, their coach then left and went to Vanderbilt and has them rolling. And I'm not saying this new coach, who is a Cal disciple, is like not going to have them rolling or whatever, but this is a very different situation. Like coming into the year, I kind of viewed James Madison in high regard, but now that the game's here and I've really looked into them, I'm kind of like, Arkansas should actually like kill these guys.
Yeah. Yeah, they should. And which, by the way, real quick, because I know we'll get to the chat and everything, but Isaiah Sealy is going to play in this game, I hope and think. Hopefully. And you can get a prop play for him over 3.5 points scored and over 2.5 rebounds at plus 350. So
I love that.
I'm telling you boys right now, I'm triggered already at these dudes at the end of the bench. I'm triggered.
Just because they're going to come in and be messing around?
They'll come in and they'll do their 2.5 minutes and give up a 12-0 run. And there go your style points. If that happens, I said this on the pod. If they come in and do that, if you're up 40 and then they come in at the end of the game, you can get your guys some rest before Tennessee, and you wind up winning by 24, take their Blakeman's jewelry away. Take it away from them. Send it back. Take it to the pawn shop. They don't get to keep it.
Yeah. Just go down to the local pawn shop and hawk it.
Sorry. Give it all to Malik Ewan. He was very excited about it. But gosh, man.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get to your chats, folks. We'll have best and worst of the weekend, as well as getting into a little recruiting update with our guy, Dudley. But want to remind everybody that Hickey and Hull Law is the official law firm of us here at Inside Arkansas. No matter what it is when it comes to all of your legal needs, they're going to take care of you. They're going to walk you through each and every step of the way, because there is nothing more difficult to try to navigate through something as important like a divorce and custody case or a criminal case without having the right representation. Don't do it alone, because that's when things slip through the cracks. That's when you ending up in a worse situation than what you were before. But with Hickey and Hull Law, they're going to make sure that you're represented, that they're going to make sure they're fair with you, and they're going to make sure that they build that relationship with you on honesty and trust. So they handle it all. And so no matter what your legal needs may be, you can give them a call today at 479-434-2414, as they have offices across the entire state of Arkansas. They service the entire state, and they're big Razorback fans, and obviously big fans of us here at Inside Arkansas. So be sure to hit them up and tell them that we sent you over there at Hickey and Hull Law. Again, check them out by calling at 479-434-2414 or their website, hickeyandhull.com. You can scan that QR code right there on your screen. It's Hickey and Hull Law. Things are about to get better. All right, so we'll have best and worst of the weekend. But let's get into your chats real quick. So as we all know the rules, super chats get read first. That's just the rule here. But shout out to Bo Subtle. He said, Ryan kept our best player. Golish didn't keep his. Shrugging emoji. People are saying.
This is a statement of fact.
It is.
Yeah. Granted, as much as I love Quincy Rhodes, I don't think he's on the level of Cam Coleman, but still, I mean, still number one's number one. But that's a good point there. And speaking of that, we got our guy Quinn. And we knew he'd going to come in here with an opinion. He says, we were offering north of $2 million. It's looking more than $3 million. And I will talk about the number. So F you, Andrew.
Well, to be clear, like, I wasn't arguing that he's not going to get a ton of money. Like, I understand that. Here, what we do on the show is we talk about truth, and we say, hey, this is a real thing that's happening. Here's how we feel about it. Here is a thing, and like, it's one thing if like On3 comes out and reports, hey, Cam Coleman is seeking a payment of $3.5 million. If that happens, then we would talk about it and we'd say, okay, this is what he's seeking. What's that going to look like? Once we start like throwing out my buddy heard this number and, oh, now this guy says it's going to be this number, that's the conversation that doesn't interest me. I'm not saying these guys aren't going to make there's a lot of these conversations we can have, but it's like, if they're rooted in like imaginary fairy tale things, it's kind of tough.
Well, let me ask you guys real quick something. I don't know if we'll ever know, but the highest paid assistant coach is Ron Roberts, right? At $2 million a year. Yeah. Does Arkansas have a player that makes more than that this year? Do you think they had a player that makes more than $2 million?
I'm going to say no, because I don't think Quincy Rhodes is making close to $2 million. I think he's making great money. I don't think he's making $2 million or relatively even like that close to it. So I don't think anyone is going to like double up what Quincy Rhodes is making, frankly.
I think they've got too much work to do to be able to pay one guy that much.
Yeah.
Maybe wrong.
I agree with that.
But see, and that's I guess that's my point, is like, I agree. And that's what makes it kind of scary of like, okay, do you really want to just have it to where you have, instead of getting a few really good players, you have to get more solid players? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, are there certain groups, which we know, I think we've talked about this, but because there's certain quarterback or certain position groups like a quarterback or something, to where it's like, yeah, well, maybe if we get just one of these guys, like maybe if we get one lockdown corner or that we pay for a ton on, or maybe just one big time wide receiver that we pay a ton on, and then just make it work behind the scenes there. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what the approach is going to be of Silverfield. And, I don't know if there's just, and they have a big whiteboard in their office being like, all right, this position here is what we're going to be paying the most for. Like, I don't know if it's that way, but that's what I'm curious, because of that, the amount of money they're going to have to spend. And also that's why they have our guy Gaska to be able to settle how they're going to pay it and who they're going to give it to and all of that. So, but because I think it was like Talon was making 1.5. I think that was the report a year ago. And I think that was the most on the team, if I'm not mistaken. So who knows? Let's see some other chats too. We got Cats by 21 already saying, now SEC play begins this week finally. So yeah, it does. It doesn't go
about time.
Yes.
It's not as daunting as it was last year when every team not named South Carolina or whatever, I guess LSU, was just balling out. So I keep reading these things about how down the SEC is and everything. I don't know who had expectations of the league being what it was last year, this year. I mean, that was just on a different level. I'm kind of glad it's not as strong. I still think the league is going to get 11 or so teams in. And, before last year, that was almost unheard of. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I am excited about it. I'm wondering how it's all going to shake out. I feel like there are some teams who are way up there right now that might get exposed a little bit. Like I think Georgia's good. I don't think they're as good as, they've been looking so far. I think Vanderbilt is good. Do I think they're SEC championship good? I don't know about all that. So once these teams start playing each other, we start learning a lot more about them. And it's going to be good, man. Like Arkansas, Tennessee, the first game or, on opening day there of SEC play is awesome. Kentucky, Bama, that's a great game. So there's some good ones out there early on too. It's going to be a fun season.
Yeah, I'm just glad that they did it that way instead of what they normally do. It'd be like, Arkansas, you're just going to play at A&M to start the SEC. It's like, no one wants that, man. Like, no one wants to see that crap. Get some marquee games like this, and that's going to be good. So, but yeah, it'll be a lot of fun to see the SEC play out. And it just makes me wonder, like, because Arkansas went, what, 8-10? Was it 8-10 last year in the SEC play?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. It just makes me wonder, not and it'll ever matter, but like, if they went 8-10 last year, with that team and, the struggles that they had, it just makes you wonder, hey, maybe this year, if this team played in this year, like how different it would be. But, you can't play that game because Arkansas's team's better this year and they're going to win more games. And you can actually bet on BetSaracen on how many SEC games are going to win this year. Hopefully it's a lot. Hopefully it's more
than 8.
Yes, it gotta be more than 8.
Because would that be, because we just went through 3 straight seasons of a losing record in SEC play for Arkansas, right? Pretty sure.
Yeah, I think so, because that Nick Smith year, did they go 8-10?
Yeah, because they were the 10. They were the 10 seed in the SEC tournament, and that's
those
stupid.
darn Januaries, man.
Dude, I remember
so
last
dumb,
year,
man.
It's funny. Last year we kept having this conversation. People would pop into the chat and they'd be like, "No way we make the tournament under 500," and we'd be like, "Dude, they literally just did it." And in this year in the SEC, they will. Now this year, under 500 in the SEC might not make it, but I remember us having that exact conversation where people would be like, "No way they make the tournament under 500." I'm like, well.
Wasn't Oklahoma? They got in at 6-12.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
Like, that ain't.
They lost every game that was declared a must-win. They lost all of them and still somehow made the tournament.
Yeah, that was brutal. But yeah, let's see a winning SEC season, and that's what makes it so crazy. Is 3 straight years of that, but yet 2 Sweet 16s mixed in there. Like, who would have guessed? But we'll take it all day. Let's see. Oh, Not a Burner says, "What's up, fellas? Going to be at the game tonight, fellas. Also asking my girlfriend to marry me tomorrow. Big next 2 days for me." Yeah, I'd say so. I don't know which one's bigger though, the marrying or the game, but up to determination.
I think the game against James Madison is substantially bigger, but hey, still a big day tomorrow. So best of luck. We wish you the best. Hey, let us know how it goes. Also,
yeah. Should we expect some news on this for tomorrow's show, or will it be the next day? Like, are you doing like a morning, breakfast in bed proposal kind of thing, or is it going to be an evening date and then we find out on Wednesday? We need a little bit more information here because I am going to be thinking about this.
Yeah. And if we don't hear from Not a Burner for the next few days, we'll know what she said. And it was not yes. Let's just hope we get to hear
means
from
he's
him.
Enjoying his engagement.
Oh, wow. Okay. Just Tuesday evening I'm not even going to disclose the location. I don't know how you would get doxxed here, but we don't want to hear from you Wednesday.
Okay. There you go. There you go. We'll be rooting for you, my man. Hopefully it happens for you. Austin just says, "I'm going to Alumni Hall today. What's the code to get 20% off? Hogs by 20. Just tell them we sent you. Head Jolie's there. Say hello for us." But yeah, that's what you got to do. Ryan also asks, "Are there any rumors on portal guys that have some real smoke? Ubenga, Kern, Memphis guys, Dupree, Wimberly?" I mean, we kind of talked a little bit about.
We've discussed almost all these guys. Wimberly, it does seem like it seems like it's a no-brainer that he will be a Hog, which I'm cool with. I mean, he didn't play at Oklahoma this past year, but I think he was a fringe 4-star. Like some sites, maybe a high 3, low 4-star. Other places, he visited Memphis when he was in high school, which is notable because obviously, I don't know if you guys know this, Memphis' head coach is now Arkansas's head coach, obviously from Arkansas as well. So that seems like a guy they'll get. But yeah, like a lot of those, like Kamari Wilson, very much a lot of smoke. Mubinga's brother is committed to Arkansas. Kern, we've talked about on the show. Yes, to answer your question, yes.
Do we have a thought about taking half of LSU's offensive line when it was worse than Arkansas's? Take the best ones and then.
Sure. I mean, listen, when it comes to like, obviously, I don't like the premise of, hey, their offensive line wasn't great, so let's not try to replicate the whole thing. But it's like, I think Carius Kern being a true freshman helps. I believe the Mubinga kid is fairly young too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he is.
Keep it.
Yeah, I would just. It's just one of those things that's funny where maybe we'll do this during the summertime when things are slow. But just I want to bring up like, all right, well, so which player is going to get brought up the most that was on this past year's football team of being like, we shouldn't have gotten rid of him or he should have stayed, because there's going to be just one player at one position. Hopefully not, but you just given the odds that somebody's gonna be like, Shaq McCrory should have never let him go, or something like that. It's gonna happen.
I mean, Hog fans haven't even apologized to us for Isaiah Satania, and he had like 1,000 yards on a playoff team. So I don't think there's gonna be if they didn't apologize to us for Satania, I don't think there's a guy on the roster that could transfer out that they would like feel bad about. I don't think Hog fans ever regret it when people leave.
Yeah, that's I guess that's a good point too. By the way, I like this from Hickory Hogs. Just take all the money Quinn super chats and put it towards Cam Coleman NIL. That would make Quinn very mad if we did that. But I don't know if listen, we love Quinn. We love all of our super chats. We appreciate it. And Quinn obviously is very, very nice with it. But even with all the super chats that Quinn has given us, I don't think it will add up anywhere close to. I mean, we might get like the index finger and the pinky of Cam Coleman, and what would be worth it. So
yeah. Ryan, no. Arkansas is not adding a front court piece mid-season. They're not going to make a January edition. They're not adding a big man. They're not getting a G League guy. They're not getting a transfer that's sitting out there. They're not getting an international player. No.
Wait, but Curtis, did you read that the NBA players can now just play in college? Like you can just go get an NBA player is what we're being told.
That's what they're saying, and we're being told that, and maybe it's true, maybe it's not. Don't ask Joe Tipton. But no, they're not going to make a midseason edition. And no, I don't think they need to. I understand your premise. Like the teams that are doing this are doing it for different reasons than you want Arkansas to do it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Baylor, their starting big man out for the year. They don't have anybody in their rotation over 6'8". So they went out and got this guy. They're trying to make the tournament. I don't blame Scott Drew for doing that. Like you have games to win or you have a job to lose. You know what I'm saying? Oklahoma, they have it's the thinnest bench in the country. They don't have anybody who's playable after their starters. They went out and got the big Russian kid. All of Eric Musselman's guards are injured, and he goes out and gets a point guard. For Arkansas, you have two veteran, been there, done that dudes who you just need to play better in there. But if Malik Ewan or Nick Pringle done anything to just bench them and move on, no. Cal's not going to do it. He's got an 8-man rotation right now. Isaiah Sealy can't even get any burn. And so for Cal to be a guy who's like, oh, I'll play 5. If these guys don't, I'll play 6. If I have to, it's fine. Lose yourself within the team. These guys have to be bought into each other. And so then he's going to add somebody from the outside to a top 20 team in the middle of the season. That's just completely contradictory to any message that he sends to these guys. So I understand what you're saying. It's not going to happen. Arkansas is not going to make an addition like that mid-year. Would they in the future if they had a bunch of injuries and circumstances like these other teams? Maybe.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. I keep seeing people do the thing where they're like, man, I wish we had another shooter. I wish we had another defender. I wish we had a whatever. And that's an argument you can make. What guy is there that's available? And you mentioned the 2 veteran bigs, which I know a lot of fans hear you say that and they say, well, I think Pringle sucks and I think Malik Ewan sucks. So I want someone better than that. There is not a guy that is just out there sitting and available that is better at basketball than either of those 2 guys. The guys that you would be bringing in would not be able to play at Arkansas. Like, frankly, like I'm just being honest with you. Dink Pate would be like the exception. If you could make a thing work and you get Dink Pate or whatever, he would be good enough. But to your point, that's not going to happen. I think people are they keep reading all these reports and say, oh, you can just get anybody you want. So they assume, oh, you can just get a power forward in the NBA and he can come play at Arkansas. And that's not really how it works. And we're going to elaborate on this a little bit on the worst of the weekend, because I think there's been some mixed up messaging that is breaking you guys' brains and leading us to have these dumb conversations that are pointless.
Yeah, well, and don't get mad at me about it in the chat. I'm just letting you know that it's not going to happen.
Right.
You can think Arkansas needs an extra piece. You can think they're a piece away from winning a national championship. You can think and feel however you want to. I'm just telling you, John Calipari ain't going to do it. That's all.
And it kind of reminds me, and I'm a Seinfeld fan, but it reminds me of when in Seinfeld, when Kramer's just like, hey, talking about write-off. He's like, yeah, just write this off. They write this stuff off all the time. He's like, you don't even know what a write-off is. It's like, well, do you? It's like, no. Why? Well, they do, and they're the ones writing it off. It's kind of like that thing where there's just like, yeah, just add another player. But what do you mean? You just they add players all the time. You don't even know how to do that. Yeah, well, they do, and they add players. It's just like there's no logic. There's no like concrete behind the scenes thing. It's like it can't happen that way. Just can't happen that way. We'll get into best and worst of the weekend. Shout out to Quinn for the super chase. Says y'all's big situation is much better than ours. So that's
and I think Auburn just was it the JUCO, the 7-footer that they brought in or whatever. Like he's out for the year or whatever. So yeah, that's true. And I don't know what Stephen Pearl's philosophy is, or if he was trying to look and add somebody or whatever. It's just, when Cal's up there and he's like, oh man, we got this, he's waving to his 4 kids in the stands and he's using NIL to pay his first wife's alimony. And I don't know, man, that's counterintuitive to everything that he stands on every time he's in front of a microphone. It's like, I just wouldn't get my hopes up. That's all.
Yeah. Real quick, just when you brought that up, somebody asked me, and I wish I could remember who it was, when they were like, hey, who's that player that Cal was talking about that had to pay alimony for? I'm like, he was making a joke. Like, I don't think there was actually a player, but they thought, they're like, which one of our players has been paying alimony over here for NIL? I was like, no, it was just a joke. Like, I don't think so. It's like, but people hang on words, man. They hang on words all the time. We'll get to more of your chats, folks, but let's go ahead and get into our best and worst of the week, presented by our friends over at SARACEN, the #1 sports betting app. We already mentioned some of the prop plays that they have going on for tonight's game. You better get in on it. There's some great ones. There's some great specials, not only for Razorback basketball, but for all the in-state sports. You can throw in the college football playoff. NFL playoffs will be here before we know it. Each and everything that you could possibly want. BetSaracen, it's the #1 app, sports betting app in the state for a reason, because they are the best. And the best thing about it is that because you are an Inside Arkansas listener and you rock with us here, if you scan that QR code on your screen, or if you click the link below in the description, it'll take you to download the BetSaracen app. And once you download it, use our code InsideAR. That's right, InsideAR, where you will get $125. All you got to do is just bet 25. That's right, that's free money. So if you're thinking that Malik Thomas is going to have a go-off game tonight and you want to put some serious cachet down on it, well, then you better use our code InsideAR by downloading the app, by clicking the link in the description below, scanning that QR code, and being able to bet $25. You get $125. You get that big money. So it's BetSaracen. It's Arkansas's #1 sports wagering app. So, so for my best and worst of the week, I'll go for best, because my worst of the weekend is actually going to be tied to what the Alumni Hall question of the day was. So I try to move things around in the minute. But my best of the weekend, guys, is something that discussed last night, something that was announced this morning, but also the fact that we're going to be on the radio. And I think that's really cool. I know that it's exciting. It's something to where we are really appreciative of 102.1 The One and the Mid-South Family radio group. And it's starting a week from today at noon. You'll be able to hear us in the South Missouri and North Arkansas area. In fact, Curtis drove through that area going up to Ransom last night. I got a chance to listen to it a little bit. But yeah, you're every Monday starting at noon, you're going to get a little Inside Arkansas sports show with us and all of our content and all that great stuff. And I just think that's really neat, not just because I was on the radio and it's cool to be back on the radio, but also to have the brand and the content of Inside Arkansas expanding. So that was my best of the weekend, at least.
Yeah, man, I'm pumped up about that. What I think is cool about what we do is we can kind of, reach a broader range of the audience. There's Razorback fans everywhere, and it's not just in Northwest Arkansas, So, I was driving to Branson. I text. You're not supposed to text and drive, but I did. And I was like, okay, what is the station? Okay, yeah, 102.1, got it. I just turned it on as I was driving. I was like, how well does this extend into North Arkansas and stuff? And I was really impressed, man. I was able to pick it up right away on the drive, and that was cool. And there's a bunch of Razorback fans in South Missouri too. I mean, I got a ton of family in Branson, and they're all going to be tuned into that. So I'm excited about it. I think it's very cool. We're expanding, we're growing. This was a goal of ours, something that we set out. People set their beginning of the year goals or their resolutions or whatever, and this is something that we've talked about for a while. Like, we want to do this, and here we are. So I'm very excited about it, looking forward to it, and hopefully it's a cool deal for all the folks who are in that area that can tune in.
Well, my favorite part about this is that we continue to change what we do and kind of grow our reach, grow our audience, grow the amount of content that we have and what we're able to do. And none of it is at the expense of what we already have building. And that's the best part about this whole thing is it's in, I'm sure there's going to be some people that see this and say, oh, wait a minute. So what does that mean for Pot at the Palace and Bombastic and Inside Arkansas Live? It's like, no, we're still going to keep everything rolling. We're just adding it and we're just growing and we're reaching more eyeballs, ears, all that. And I think that's awesome. And I think that's one thing we've always tried to keep in mind as we've expanded and as we've done this operation is not everybody is going to listen. Like, obviously, we know a lot of you guys, names that we know that listen to every single Inside Arkansas Live, listen to every single Pot at the Palace, every single Bombastic, every single, Inside Arkansas football, whatever. And we love y'all and we appreciate y'all. But there's also some people who, only listen to sports radio, only listen to the radio. And so now those are people that we might reach that we wouldn't have before. And it's not going to come at the expense of our already huge audience here on this show and stuff like that. And so it's very exciting. Being on the radio is just something that's cool. I mean, it's one you don't even have to explain. You always have to explain to people, oh, yeah, we have a podcast, YouTube, live stream. The radio, people know what that is because it's legit. And so, hopefully our peers at the U of A will not shun us anymore.
Well, and it's going to be exciting just to see the response because it's been great. And again, really appreciate our guy Kelly for orchestrating it and to be able to make it happen and to give everybody kind of an idea of what it's looking like. Because I know people are asking in the chat because you're like, well, hold on, Inside Arkansas Live is at noon. You're right. And what it's going to be is it's going to be its own unique content, essentially, to where it's not going to be, at least in the beginning, live, because eventually the goal would be to have it be live. But essentially, it's going to be unique in content from recapping weekends and talking about Razorbacks and whether it's recapping games and various segments, recruiting, all those things. That's going to have all of our content in there. So it's again, it's just one of those deals to where it's a starting point, and then it's just going to keep growing and continue to go there. So really excited about it. Really looking forward to being on there and to see it. And you can listen live if you're in that area. And you can also check it out at 1021theone.com where you can listen live on their website. So, but yeah, that was my best of the weekend for sure. Getting to be back on the airwaves once again.
It's very cool, man. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. That was obviously one of my best of the weekends. Also, I guess another would be the reason why I was able to listen. We drove up. We took the little man. You guys ever? I don't know if you're Branson guys or not.
Never been to Branson,
but they've got like the train situation up there, and they do like over the holidays the Polar Express thing. You get on a train, like a literal train, and it takes you through town and all that. And they give you some hot chocolate. They read the story. They got all the characters and everything. And he handled it like a champ. We had a really good time doing that. So I don't know. Shout out to them. Apparently they're filming a movie. I don't know if it's like a Hallmark movie or something in Branson, but they're leaving their Christmas decorations up because they're coming and filming like a Christmas thing in January there. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, so that was cool. And then I'm not going to do the Pro Hogs thing because I know Andrew loves doing that, but I will. And this is the number one. Despite being on the radio, which is awesome, the best of the weekend was the Pop-Tarts Bowl. It's just, it gets no better, man, than the Pop-Tarts Bowl. The drama every year, the one Pop-Tart that bailed out from its sacrifice and jumped off of the toaster. There's just so much going on. They're stealing cell phones and running around with them. I hate what bowl season has become. The college football playoff is cool and everything, but we know that the traditional bowls just aren't what they used to be. And you got to be a little bit weird and creative and outside the box. And this was awesome. Notre Dame, you missed out. This could have been you, but it wasn't. I love the Pop-Tarts Bowl, man. I think it was really cool. It was entertaining. And it's like they keep leaving little cliffhangers for the next year. Like this is a story that builds. You got to wait for the next season of Stranger Things or whatever the hell just came back out. And it's kind of the same idea with the Pop-Tarts Bowl. So I'm intrigued. I will watch again next year to see what they go about doing here. And shout out to Kalani Satake for just facing the Pop-Tarts in there. He was just getting after it, man.
Very much shout out to him, who could have been the head coach at Penn State, as we know, but decided to stick it out with his Mormon boys, and he looked happy to do it. Shame on Notre Dame. That could have been you. That could have been Marcus Freeman with his fake hairline. He could have been eating that Pop-Tart, but no, it wasn't him. But no, seriously, I'm happy with what Pop-Tarts is doing. They're saving bowl season, frankly. They're at the top of my list. Yeah, you mentioned the Pro Hogs. And we also were talking about that 8-10 Arkansas team that made the tournament with Nick Smith, Anthony Black, Jordan Walsh. If that team reunited today, I mean, geez, it would be unbelievable. Those guys, I guess, would be seniors at Arkansas right now. Do I have that right? Nick Smith, Anthony Black, and Jordan Walsh would be seniors at Arkansas right now?
Yeah, they would.
Yeah.
Well, they would be dominating. Jordan Walsh, we talked about on the show because he's having by far the best year of his career, starting for the Celtics, playing some pretty solid minutes, and the Celtics are actually going to make the playoffs potentially, which is cool for Jordan Walsh, that he's like a real piece on a playoff team, which is good for him. It's been a huge step forward for him. Nick Smith Jr. has gotten sparing because he's on the Lakers, which obviously are pretty good. So his playing time is always it's like every fifth game he gets some run. Well, he got some run the other day and scored 21 points, 8 of 14. I think he knocked down 7 threes. Big time stuff. Really love that. And Anthony Black, new career high, 38 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists.
For his catch and shoot threes.
Catch and shoot threes.
Man.
Taking Jokic, ISOing against Jokic and knocking out threes. I spent the last Inside Arkansas Live we did, I was raving about Nikola Jokic and his crazy game. The very next day, Anthony Black outduels him in the fourth quarter, literally, and is knocking down shots. Led the entire game in scoring, made some clutch defensive plays too. It's now year 3 for Anthony Black, and he's really starting to put it together in a big way. I think he's averaging 14, 15 a game, still a really high-level defensive player, smart. He is just all the things that we knew he could be. He is kind of starting to turn into it in front of our very eyes. Really happy for the Pro Hogs. Hunter Henry also caught a touchdown. It's a great week for the Pig.
Yeah, just maybe this time, and it'll translate into having some success with the Razorbacks too. Some of these Pro Hogs will have that success. But yeah, it's always cool to see that, especially in basketball, because I felt like there was such a stretch where there was 2 Razorbacks in the NBA for 12 years. It was Joe Johnston, Patrick Beverly. It's just that was it. And so it's nice to see not only you got Portis and Gafford's been in there, but all these guys from Muss, and then we know that Cal for sure. I think maybe it's probably going to have a few players in the NBA before he leaves Arkansas. So it's been really cool. As far as worst of the weekend goes, this is something that I feel very strongly about, and some people don't, and that's fine. But we know it's first year for Kelsey Music and the women's basketball team and the Ladybacks. And, I don't think anybody because the SEC is really difficult when it comes to women's basketball. It's a great conference, and women's basketball is a very unique sport where it seems like the good dominating teams are very dominant, and, just the rest. But yesterday, the Ladybacks, I'm going to continue to call them Ladybacks, they lost to Arkansas State. And I don't think that anyone's expecting Music in her first year to be a top 10, top 15 team. It'd be great. But it was just something that I felt very strong. It was Arkansas in any sport should never lose to an in-state school. I don't care if it's women's basketball. I don't care if it's Razorback football. Should never happen. And I think people maybe took a little bit of issue with it and maybe said, hey, well, Arkansas State went to be the better team. I was like, I don't care. You should never lose to an in-state team. And I'm not trying to come down on anybody that's looking at it from the lens of, well, these things happen. Sure they do, but I don't accept it. I don't like it. And that's the standard needs to be set somewhere. And that's where it's I don't care if they had a better team. I don't care. Oh, well, they had all these seniors. I don't care. You do not lose to in-state schools if you're the Arkansas Razorbacks, period. I said the same thing with Razorback baseball when they lost that game to Little Rock in a midweek. I'm like, I don't like that. I know it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. And it's not he's losing it. But it's I don't care. That makes me upset. And as weird as it is, I'd rather lose a midweek game to Louisiana Monroe than lose a midweek game to Little Rock. Does it make sense to you? Maybe not. But it does to me. It just is the worst of the weekend for me because I hate that. I hate the fact that happened. I hate the fact that they got these Arkansas State people that act like it's their Super Bowl and they're just wolves up. That's okay, cool. But it's just that bothers me, and it was the worst of the weekend for me because it just pissed me off, and I really hate it, and I don't want to see it happen in any sport, regardless of the expectation, regardless of the team. Arkansas should be superior in every single sport on campus compared to any other school here in this state, period.
And it wasn't unanimous, but I was surprised at how controversial that take was. And just reading your comments from that, a lot of people were mad at you for saying this, and I agree, man. Like, it just should never happen. Arkansas State women's basketball, very good. Yes, they are. That's not taking anything away from them. They still shouldn't be beating the Razorbacks. It's a rebuilding year. You know, Kelsey Music's first year. Get some grace. Yes, absolutely. You still shouldn't be losing to Arkansas State. Like, it's the classic two things can be true type of deal for sure there. That's a tough one, man. And you don't want that in your first year. I know they've who else beat them? Like Harvard,
Yeah,
or somebody beat them at Bud Walton Arena, and it's like, well, that's really not one you want there. But guess what? I don't know this for sure. I'm guessing Arkansas State might be as good or better than Harvard at women's basketball. But I'm madder about the Arkansas State one for all the obvious reasons. Like, of course, it's not a good thing for that to happen. And what irritated me more about it, and it's so our worst of the weekends were kind of the same, but a little bit different. But like the gatekeeping on that. Oh, first thing you say about women's basketball, blah, blah, blah. And we've actually talked about them a decent amount here, as much or more than anyone else out there does, frankly, who has a platform to talk about these things. And we want her to have a bunch of success, and it makes it easier when you don't have things like this happen. I'm still going to be rooting for them to win all these games and everything like that, but the circumstances don't change. Like, yeah, losing to an in-state school like that, never something that you should be okay with, and there's nothing wrong with expressing frustration about it. So I'm sorry you caught a lot of heat about it, John, but I'm with you, brother.
I'm just out on moving the goalpost at any point. And the day that Kelsey Music was hired, you know, and we kind of started to say, hey, what could she do with this program? What should the expectations be? On that day, if we had polled the fan base and said, hey, under Kelsey Music, like, would you be okay if Arkansas were losing to in-state opponents? 100% of you guys would have said no. You would have been like, no, that should not be something that we want. And none of you would have said, well, maybe if that in-state team is top 3 in their conference. None of you would have said that. And so why are you saying it now? And I'm sure some people, I didn't read all of the responses, John, but I'm sure some would say, well, are you going to talk about if they had won the game, would you have given them a ton of credit for it? And to that, I would just say, no, that's the context of these games. When you play games against smaller schools, when you play games against in-state opponents that you're supposed to squash, we said this when Arkansas played Arkansas State in football. We said this game is only a big deal if you lose. If you beat Arkansas State, you were supposed to beat them. If you lose, you fire the coach. That's literally Arkansas played Arkansas State in football, and we had that conversation. You can go back and look. And had Sam Pittman lost to Arkansas State, he would have been fired on the spot instead of fired 3 weeks later like he was. And you can say, hey, that's unfair and tough business. And, man, you know, I don't envy these coaches. That's all fine. It's like, that's the game we play. And if you guys want to hold them to a lesser standard, you're fine to do that. I hope Kelsey Music doesn't hold her players to that standard. I hope she's not taking y'all's advice and saying, you know what, girls, it's okay. We can lose to in-state schools. If it's just once a year, no one will care. I hope they are beat up in that locker room and they're embarrassed and they're humiliated and they're using that to be like, let's never let this happen again. Like, this is the worst thing ever. Let's never do this again. I hope they carry that mentality rather than the soft one y'all are trying to put on them.
Well, I'll say the poll question I put out, it was just, is it ever acceptable for the Razorbacks to lose to another in-state team in any sport? 82% of you said no.
Sure.
But 13% of you said depends. And then 5% of you said yes, which I just assumed those are probably like Arkansas State or UCA fans, or people just don't like Arkansas. But my thing is I'm like, I want to make this clear. I'm not saying like, oh, Kelsey Music, bad coach, sucks, should never hired her, anything. It's like 100%, because I've always said this. If they just went on a run and they went to the Sweet 16 and won a game for the first time in the NCAA tournament since, the Bush administration, then guess what? I'll be thrilled. And you know what? I'm not going to remember them losing to Arkansas State. But since they did, it's bad and it should never happen. And, if you don't want to take, I think we could probably speak more on this, but Nolan Richardson was about to get fired from Arkansas in his first couple of years if he had lost to Arkansas State in the NIT. Like they played them in the NIT, and it was Frank Broyles basically made it very known, if he loses this game, he's fired. Luckily they didn't, and luckily it all worked out. But the point is that's the type of mentality needs to be like, you don't do this, you don't lose to them, or like Frank used to say, don't have to worry about losing to him if you don't play him. This opens you up for it. But still, at home too, all that stuff just bothers me. So, anyways, that was my worst. I don't know, Curse, you gave your Andrew. What was your worst, or did you have one, or did you say it? Or
I mean, my worst. It's got to be the situation that played out yesterday. It I honestly thought this might be unanimous. So I need everyone to bear with me for just a moment. I'm going to make a comparison to this. What's the kid's name? Something Flowers?
Trenton Flowers.
Trenton Flowers. I'm going to make a comparison to this conversation about pro guys coming back to college to COVID. Now,
God.
if you guys remember COVID,
shit.
you guys remember COVID, and I swear this isn't political. I swear this isn't me doing a thing. Just listen and bear with me here.
All right.
You guys remember COVID, and 90% of humanity, we all had the same view of COVID, which was, all right, this sucks. This sucks that we're having to shut down and all this. I hope I don't catch this disease. Let me just do what I can and, hope that I don't get it. And let's hope everyone stays safe and let's just move on and do what we got to do. And then you had 5% of the country who was trying to convince you that it was going to eradicate humanity, which clearly it wasn't going to. And then 5% that was telling you it didn't exist at all, that it was all a sham and whatever. And those were the crazies out there. But most people kind of knew, okay, it's a thing. Let's see what we can do and let's do it. But what was tough is you had people on television being like, oh, this is the craziest thing ever. And you're not even going to ever go to school again. We're never going to go to, we're never going to be able to go to the grocery store and all this. And it was a fear mongering tactic. Like people kind of wanted people to be scared. And so it was like a very big thing. And so you have these crazy people who read Facebook and read all this stuff and they get kind of taken advantage of because they're being told to be terrified. That is what's happening with this NBA thing, where you have the Najee situation with Baylor, where a guy who got drafted is now eligible to play college basketball because he never signed a contract and never did whatever. A lot of people saw that and they started having this fear of, oh, so now NBA players are going to be coming to college and now it's just going to, LeBron James is going to enroll at Ohio State. And they started having all these crazy fears. And you're now starting to see public figures, someone like Joe Tipton, who, by the way, we respect Joe Tipton. We love Joe Tipton. We've reported, we talked about Tipton reports for years because he's kind of one of those guys that's like, oh, if he's on it, it's legit. He is now kind of, and I don't know if it was intentional, feeding into some of those fears by telling guys that, hey, this guy who is playing in NBA games right now is currently on an active NBA roster. He's receiving college interest and he might come back to school or whatever, which is a complete fabrication. That is not a true statement at all. There has not been one single player who has played in the NBA that has been given eligibility to play college, nor will there ever be, nor should there ever be. And we should all agree on that. And I think we do all agree on that. But you have someone like Tipton coming out and saying, hey, this guy who is currently playing in the NBA is receiving college interest, which got debunked immediately by all the schools and Matt Norlander and all these guys. But it has now led to this freak out. And I've seen people in the chat today talking about, hey, we got to get this Flowers kid. Let's just go get a Duke Thero. Let's just go get whatever. And it's ruined the conversation because you have public figures feeding into this fear-mongering BS when really it's like, if we can just agree what the rules are, and I know the rules are getting weird and it's, a new era and all this, we don't have to make this bigger than it is. Like the James Najee situation is weird enough. We do not have to make it weirder by pretending that NBA players are going to come back to college. And it sucks. And it sucks that yesterday happened and the literal founder of On3 had to come out and apologize and be like, that was crazy. I'm sorry about that.
That part of it was my worst of the weekend. Like the whole situation is weird. And we know what happened here. Like somebody in Trenton Flowers camp, whether it was an agent or, whoever, said, hey, I know you saw this Najee thing. Here are all the schools that are trying to get Flowers. They're checking in on him, see if this can work. And he just threw it out there without confirming with said schools. And and it's controversial, like because we saw as soon as this happened, what Tom Izzo, he was like, well, I've got to call in to Scott Drew. Like it's the gatekeepers of college basketball. Cal probably called him too. Who knows? But to have these conversations about like, where are we taking the game? What's up with the integrity of the sport? What kind of message are we sending to the players we recruited? There are a lot of the older guard that are very much against this, and there's some others who are like adapt or die. There's different factions there. So a lot of these schools did not want their names included in that. So that's why it happened. And all of a sudden Norlander's like, well, I've got 5 of these schools that are already saying no, like we haven't even reached out to this kid. This is crazy. So Tipton he just didn't do the second part of his legwork. I don't doubt that he heard that from somebody he felt like he could trust. But before you report something like that, obviously you got to have, and he knows that. He's been doing this long enough at this point to know that. He knows how reporting works. He knows how sourcing works. And what irritates me about it is, so you put that out there and you don't necessarily own it. You don't delete the tweet or whatever. You leave it up there. You update your own report and contradict it behind a paywall. And so you've got that out there. You leave it up, so you're still like pandering for the clicks and everything. And then the CEO has to go out and apologize and say the author is undergoing additional training. There is no additional training. Okay, everybody knows what happened. Everybody knows how this works. So now the entire thing has blown up, and it's crazy because I mean, and On3's been killing it. Like they've been taking over the world. It's just like every day they announce a new hire or a new addition or whatever. They were catching a bunch of heat over the weekend for the way that, did you guys see this? How they've been doctoring photos?
Yep.
They've been getting these photos and like changing the filters and everything. They made Tom Izzo look like he was 130 years old or something. And they've been doing all that. And then now you got the Tipton stuff and they're just catching it from all angles here. And it's just, the whole situation is just a mess. And it starts with the reporting on a situation that is absurd.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, like you mentioned, like you do that, you need to double check and make sure these things. But I also think there's something too, like if you're going to say something and you say it and whatever, you need to understand how big of a deal it is if you're saying it. Like if you say, hey, Arkansas is going to go 10-2 next year, I can disagree with you, but it's like, I need you to at least understand what you're saying. That would be a very bold proclamation. And saying that a guy who is currently playing in the NBA is maybe going to come back to college. Like you need to understand how groundbreaking that is. And so you need to understand that we're all going to look into that. We're all going to be like, yo, what? Like that's crazy. And he knew the reaction he would get, which is like why I just feel like it was crazy irresponsible. And I'm not trying to be hard on Tipton here. I'm really just trying to, I just want us to operate in the land of real, in the land of fact, and not in the land of make believe, trying to create narratives.
Yeah. It kind of reminded me almost like it's like the Bishop Sycamore thing. It's like, oh yeah, this is a thing. It's like, well, why is it a thing? Well, it's just a thing. They're playing the game. It's kind of the same thing. It's like, oh, well, why is this a thing? Well, because he's hearing from people. Yeah, it doesn't. Okay. So it ends up not being true. And it does so much more harm than good. And I think it just was extra explosive because of the topic, like you guys talked about. Like if this was just somebody, a high school kid committing somewhere, that's one thing. But having something that's just not a thing and everyone's taking it by storm because of the uncertainty of college sports as it is, and no one knows. I mean, how much does eligibility have? Like all the chaos. I think people just bought into it hook, line, and sinker, and it just caused a major problem. So
well, and when you saw that initial graphic that came out with all the teams listed there, I don't know about you guys, but the first thing I did was looked at all those and I went, "Oh, Muss is the only one that makes sense." I was like, "That's the only one I could see here." Actually,
yeah, that would have been great if he would have been the one that's like, would have responded to it or had some sort of report, be like, yeah, we actually are talking to him, like somebody, you're not saying Muss would have, but like somebody would have been like, of all these schools, the only one that's confirmed that they're actually talking to him is Eric Musselman.
And he did recruit that kid hard at Arkansas. So,
there you go.
Or like you had said, Curtis, that kid's recruitment coming out of high school was already a weird one where his camp would put out weird stuff. And so, yeah, you just kind of have to know. But the reason why I'm so upset about it, frankly, and, I know we ranted enough about this, but it's like what we do every day is we try and have discussions about Arkansas, the sports world in general, and like what's going to happen. And it makes it harder to have these discussions. Like on this very show today, we have wasted 10 minutes having to explain the concept of why Arkansas is not going to bring in an NBA player midseason, like genuinely. And even while we've been having this conversation, I've been seeing people doing the thing of like, well, I really want Flowers, man. I mean, come on, I want him. Like if Cal really cared, he's
good. That's why he's in the league.
Because these guys are operating with the pretense of, hey, this guy's available. And if we don't get him, that means Cal's lazy. And they have now formulated a whole new opinion, and it's on something that is based on 0% truth. And that's what really rubs me the wrong way, is because it makes what we're trying to do harder. And it makes it hard to have a real conversation about an actual thing that is happening in the real world, because we're spending so much time talking about fake nonsense spewed by now very reputable sources, frankly. And to be clear, On3 and Joe Tipton, very reputable source, like as legit as it comes. And that's why this is so angering, I guess, to me.
I wish that we got Cal more than just post-game press conferences, because I would love to ask him the question. I would love someone to ask him the question about this. Like, what you saw this, what do you think about this? What's your because he would get on his soapbox and he wouldn't get off. It'd be the longest press conference of the year. Maybe somebody will ask him about it tonight, because you only get him after these games. Let's say Arkansas wins by 40 or something tonight. and Cal actually does the post-game presser and he doesn't send Kenny Payne or something, Daniel Shee would do it. I know Daniel Shee would do it because me and him used to have conversations up there about, well, we never really get him, but I really want to ask him this question. I'm just going to do it. But now he's not even here. So I hope that somebody does bring it up, or maybe Cal will just feel compelled and get on that topic anyway if the game goes well tonight. But I would love to hear his unfiltered thoughts on what's going on.
I was about to say, no one has to ask him. He's going to talk about it. Someone's going to ask him. Someone's going to ask him about the offensive rebounding tonight, and he's going to go off about this. Like it's
the guy's 28 years old. You know who else is?
Yeah. It's like we got guys trying to come back and play college basketball. I mean, what are we doing? It's like he's going to find some way to just shove it in there, and it's going to make it happen. So, all right. So we'll get to your recruiting update. Then we'll finish up with some chats and get out of here for the day. But I want to remind everybody that Goat Lab Red and Goat Lab Brewery is one of our sponsors here, and it's the official sponsor of the Inside Arkansas Recruiting Podcast. We're going to be doing some on-location shows at Goat Lab Red here this basketball season. We really look forward to that. Some pregame show action, maybe some post games, maybe some fun stuff like that. And we'll keep you updated on the dates on that. But it's one of the new game day traditions that you got to check out. It's right there, conveniently located at 1214 North Garland Avenue. And they have some of the best brews and burgers around. They're still doing progressive wings. So if you're needing a place to watch the Razorback basketball game, it could be a home game or road game. Do it at Goat Lab Red, because once you get in there, you order your wings, and the more points that get scored, the cheaper the wings become throughout the game until they're totally free. That's right. They're totally free. It's a great deal that you have to try out. You have to check out for yourself. And it's right there at Goat Lab Red at 1214 North Garland Avenue. You can also have all their Goat Lab brews like Razorback, Tusk, and Tusk Light. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hear from Dudley Dawson for today's Inside Arkansas recruiting update.
Covering recruiting and the transfer portal for the Razorbacks. This is Inside Arkansas Recruiting with Dudley Dawson.
Welcome into this Inside Arkansas Recruiting Podcast update presented by Goat Lab Brewery. I'm your host, Dudley Dawson, and no matter what else happens during this portal time, Antonio Sandal Bascom, a defensive lineman from Coffeyville Community College, was originally at Iowa Western Community College, where he played in a national championship game. He will be the first portal get for Arkansas and new head coach Ryan Silverfield, as he committed earlier this morning. His nickname is Fat Boy Moo. He loves that name, and so do we. But he grew up in Akron, was an all-star in Akron, Ohio. He was all-star at East High School. He actually committed to Ryan Silverfield, the new Arkansas coach, back when Coach Silverfield was at Memphis on November 23rd. And then a couple of days later, obviously, Coach Silverfield took the Arkansas job and, kind of switched things around. He had several interests from different schools, but decided to stick with Coach Silverfield. Hoping to have him on the show here later this week. He had 29 tackles, 10 solo, and 2.5 sacks this year for Coffeyville, who had another good season. And as I said, he played on an Iowa Western team that went to the JUCO title game in 2024, and is someone that obviously will be a big pickup for them on the defensive line. 6'3", 305, Antonio Sandal Bascom, Fat Boy Moo.
I just love the way that Dudley just said Fat Boy Moo. I told him, in fact, he said when he was doing his update, I was like, you just have to say Fat Boy Moo a few times, because that's all the thing that matters.
Wait, is it not Woo?
I think it's Woo. I think it is. But that's why I was like, did I tell him wrong? And then I looked back, I was like, no, I thought I said Fat Boy Woo. But hey, Fat Boy Moo, Fat Boy Woo, it's all the same.
If he was an offensive lineman, I would like Moo.
Okay, see, here's the thing is my autocorrect did say Moo, so I'm going to take the blame for that, because it is Woo. But my autocorrect in my text said Moo, so it's not Dudley, it's me. You can throw that one at me. So
that's crazy.
I know, it's great, but either way, it's. We
fine. Were just getting credit for not altering quotes and changing names, and we just ruined all that with a simple autocorrect.
Oh, hold on, wait a minute. We have a breaking news report from Devin. He says it was Moo, and he changed it to Woo.
Even better.
I love it.
So now that actually is perfect.
Yeah. So I accidentally got it right.
There you go.
This is like, Ron Artest changes his name to Meta World Peace, and you still call him Ron Artest, the first day. That's okay. Yeah. You have time here.
Same exact thing. Exact thing.
Chad. Wait, what the hell was his? What was Chad Ochocinco's original name?
Chad Johnson.
Sorry.
How could you forget Johnson?
Gosh, man.
Yeah. Ocho Cinco. Yeah. And Meta World Peace is still the most absurd one, but it happened. It grew. Okay. A few things for rapid fire before we get out of here on the chat. Shout out to Dre, says hello from vacation in Utah. So
Enjoy your time, man.
yeah, enjoy it and keep Salt Lake City on ice until we go out there for the fall for that Razorback football game. Heartbroken Hog says, so will the new show also be available on other places like Spotify, or do we have to go to the website? Don't want to miss out on any Inside Arkansas content. It's going to be, yes, it's going to be available in other places. We'll keep you updated on that as far as the format goes, but we will let you know exactly where to find it and where it'll be and everything. So we'll keep you updated on that. Samuel says, Curtis, do you think Ament has been the most disappointing freshman in the SEC?
Maybe, given his expectations. Coming into the year, people were trying to put him in the conversation with Cam Boozer and Darren Peterson and all those guys and AJ DeBanza, and he has certainly not been that. Like, I don't think, but he's not been a bust either. But I mean, relative to expectations, I think that you could make that argument. I don't know if disappointment is the word that I would use so much as like underwhelming, maybe, or not meeting expectations. But he's still averaging 15 points and 7 boards and 3 assists per game. He just hasn't been very efficient at all. He's 38% from the field. He can't dunk a basketball. Andrew and I have learned. And what's he shooting from 3? Yeah, 30% from 3. So his efficiency has dipped. The physicality of the game has bothered him a little bit. I'm sure he'll improve as SEC play goes along, but he's hasn't been as advertised, I think is fair to say.
Yeah, 2 things I would add real quick is, one, it's like early where we see freshmen all the time that kind of start off a little slow. And then, by February, March, we could be looking at a completely different player, especially someone like him who we kind of knew was a little bit, not a project, because he's definitely not a project. They knew he was going to be good right away. But for him and his NBA hype, it's a lot more about what he can be than what he is. Now, I would argue the fact that he can't dunk is maybe a signal that maybe his ceiling isn't as high as we thought, quite literally. But I do think, I think he's still going to be a lottery pick. And I think a lot of him being a lottery pick is, again, a lot more about what he can be. And so him being, a pretty good rather than a great college player matters, but it also isn't like the end of the world for someone who's still going to get paid a lot of money very soon.
All right, and real quick before we get out of here, it's a very important thing, but we have a report saying that today is intern Cameron's birthday.
No way.
We're having reports, and Cameron, if you're available to turn on your camera and microphone, we want to get you on here. We're going to have Andrew sing to you. Actually, I'm not kidding. We're not going to do that to you, but we'll see if Cameron is feeling, if he's shy or not. But like what I wanted to say is that one of the deals was, here you go. He said no. Okay,
we won't do it. It's not his birthday.
He's not in his birthday suit.
This is not his birthday.
It's not his birthday. Okay, so that's okay. So that's what I was going to ask you, Cameron, because somebody is over here in the chat saying happy birthday, producer Cameron. And I was like, I have the schedule for your birthday post on a different day, and it was not today. And so I was feeling it's going to feel really bad. I was like, oh, did I screw this up? So, okay, glad we got that out of the way. And I just don't know why anybody would have
belated.
Yes.
Yeah, belated birthday.
Okay. So
hold on. His birthday was over the weekend?
Yesterday.
What the heck?
I've still screwed the pooch on it, dude. I have it for tomorrow. My bad, Cameron.
This is outrageous.
This is outrageous.
This is
don't quit. We need you. Okay.
Yeah. You're too important. You're too important.
But also, don't have your birthday on Christmas weekend. I would just say, if you get an option in the future, man, maybe choose a different birthday. But
I'm still gonna show this off just to say that this was what I was gonna post. So there you go. I was like,
since it's gonna go 2 days late, might as well.
Yeah. Just there it is. So all right, jeez, man, just can't win for losing these days. All right, well, anyways, guys, any final thoughts before we roll out of here for the day?
We got to be better, and we will be better about remembering birthdays. Happy belated, man. And everybody tune in tonight. The Pod the Palace postgame show should be a fun one. It's been a while since we've seen this team play. So as soon as it's over with, we'll go live and we'll talk about it, and then we'll turn the page to SEC play. It is upon us.
Yeah, I'm excited to be at Bud Walton tonight. If you see us there, any of us, especially me with my I'm going to have the hottest date in the arena tonight. If you see us, say what's up. Appreciate everybody who tuned in today. Seriously, always. I'm glad to be back in Fayetteville, get back to the everyday grind of this. Also, if you're one of the people in the chat being intentionally dense and stupid, stop doing it. You know who you are. Have a great day, everyone else, though. We love you.
Well, my final thought is that a Florida man filed a lawsuit against Outback Steakhouse for alleging that he sustained serious bodily injuries after a toilet seat broke beneath him while he was using it at the restaurant. That's the only thing I wanted to bring up here in the final parting thought. So anyways, that's your happy birthday, Cameron. There's your present. That story. You can live with it. But either way, no, we appreciate everybody tuning in with us, hanging out with us. And, just a reminder, we're not going to have a show on New Year's on Thursday, no show or anything. So celebrating the holiday, and then it gets crazy. But we appreciate all of you, appreciate all the support, appreciate everybody subscribing to us at Inside Arkansas. Be sure to continue to subscribe to all of our podcasts, wherever audio podcasts are found. And we look forward to being on 102.1 The One over there in South Missouri and North Arkansas on the radio. And it happened a week from today. So we're really excited about that. And that's going to do it for us today. For Andrew Ellis, as well as Curtis Wilkerson and intern Cameron, I am John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you tonight for Pot at the Palace postgame show.